Okay. Now I know some of you wish I'd shut up already because I can be pretty intense when I get to talking about this stuff. But, and especially now that Democrats, we have the here and now to think about more than anything else. But to me, the here and now and what we're going through, that's the issue. The Republicans have demonstrated that they fare better when citizens are history, geography, and civics illiterates. They've mastered how to exploit the apathy and cynicism of Democrats. We need only to look back at 2016 when we had an opportunity to elect the first woman president. Now, even though we lost the electoral college vote, the electoral college count, we still allowed that noise about Hillary's emails to actually shut out our voices, even though Hillary kept reminding us about the danger a no-show voter or a blank vote could impose on women's reproductive rights and voting rights and climate change and everything else. She was right about all of that, but we weren't listening to that. We were listening to the noise, and too much listening to that. So too many voters didn't in my mind, too many voters didn't have what I like to call a frame of reference to offset all that ignorance and that cynicism that, I don't know, we as Democrats seem to just zone in on at the most inopportune times. We didn't have enough critical thinking to offset all of that noise. And we got the extreme right Supreme Court, and the groundwork was set for a dictatorship. That's what we got because of that. So I created Democracy Matters as a league member to provide that frame of reference for as many people as I possibly can. And I didn't want it to be some boring class with a lot of memorizations, like who was the 45th president and yada, yada, yada. I wanted participants to leave with experiences they could always reflect on. Like my experience turning the lever the first time I voted in an election in my high school civics class. Julia, could you slip to the next slide? You got that, Julia? Okay, but you can't, all right. All right, now I lost my place. Wait a minute. I can't see it on mine, Julia. Just give me a minute here, figure out what I'm doing.
There should be a button that says you can probably hit escape and it will take you out of the
full screen.
Yeah.
It didn't do it. Oh Lord. This is what I was afraid of.
Okay, we're gonna stop share and then you just tell me to share the next slide when you're ready.
Or I could share it on my screen. How about that?
Okay. Jeannie, go ahead and make her a co-host so she can. Share her screen.
Or we could just go without the, I don't want to hold up the meeting trying to figure out all of these slides and things. So I'll go ahead and do it. Everybody has seen it. Now, I met a young woman, it was Sarah Chapman's granddaughter. And I talked to other young people, and all of these people told me that they don't participate because one, they don't know how, two, because they don't know what to believe because politicians and people like us talk too much hyperbole. And three, no one listened to them. And that's when I realized that the league had solved those very problems for me and provided the tools and the platform to address those issues for me. And so that's when I decided to do the Democracy Matters Civics course. But to forge ahead with that, I knew that you have to have collaborations and partnerships. So what I did was I found agencies that have the same mission and goals as the League does, to educate and to advocate for and to sustain a democracy. And they have respect for the human dignity, and they value diversity and inclusion, and they support citizens' input and involvement in local government. And I added that to the League's mission, it was established in 1920 to encourage informed and active participation in government. And it works to increase understanding of major political policy. So when you put those things together, you get a strong democracy through informed voters. But for hands-on civics activities to reach today's tech generation, we had to find something to do. So, and that's why I needed to collaborate with these other agencies. But believing that the primary source that is dismantling our democracy is ignorance, I selected the League program that required thinking as well as doing. Because after all, democracy is not something we have, but it's something we do. And Democracy Matters raises the awareness and sort of facilitates good citizenship. But it also had to do something else, in my opinion. It had to help create and develop critical thinking and active listening skills, communication skills, and it had to provide some sort of community mindset. This is what hands-on does. This is what it does. So the 3 programs I chose that are already ingrained in the League's policies here is Observer Corps training, which is why and how to participate in local government and board meetings. And I decided that local government was most important because when I surveyed some of the students I was working with, this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to have an impact. Well, like I tell them all the time, you can't go to Washington, D.C. and tell President Biden that your school lunch sucks, but you can go to a school board meeting and have that happen. And then there was the forum training, which we all know that nobody does forums better than the League, especially in the rules and the regulations that we're using that it does something that I really was very, very important, but which I think is really important today, is to teach and train people how to be civil at these meetings. When you have all of these ideas and all of these wishes and desires coming together, you can't get anything done when you're screaming and yelling and pointing fingers at each other. So we try to instill that in. And then there's voter training. And with the voter training, I thought hands-on would be good. I work with the voter registrar to make sure that voters are not trained the how, when, what, and where, how to register to vote, as well as the how, when, what, and where is to actually cast that ballot. And then we got the voter training, actually working at the polls to work with that. Now, to impress upon participants the value of their voices, I determined that the program's activities had to show them where and how to be heard. And the League tool to achieve this is called Observer Corps, and as in observing our government in action. And the hands-on mock city council board meeting is an integral part of the Observer Corps training that Democracy Matters training offers. And this activity gives participants the opportunity to actually engage with the elected officials and sort of get away from that myth about these people are untouchable, they don't work for me, I don't understand them, I don't know them. And also, but to give them some practical do's and don'ts on how to be heard in a government meeting. And this particular training is absolutely awesome. It really, really is. And I can't tell you the hands-on experience on the students when they leave that they're ready to start their own Observer Corps, because it's a structured way to go to a meeting. It's a structured way, I train the students from everything on how to determine what meeting meets the need that you want to talk, the issue that you want to address. In other words, you don't go to school board talking about school lunches, and you don't go to you don't go to the city hall talking about school lunches, and you don't go to the school board talking about potholes. You make sure that they even understand that. They learn the difference between at large and and district. They learn how to determine what district they're in. It's all right there on the internet, which they love. And they learn how to recognize what to talk about at these meetings, that you can't go to a meeting where a topic is not on the agenda. But if you want something on the agenda, how to do that. All of this is taught. All of this is taught. And then they get to actually do it and to perform this activity in a mock city council meeting. The sunshine laws, they learn about even not just how to go to these meetings, but they learn that there are laws that give them the right to go. The Brown Act, I mean, you can't imagine. The first time I did this session, the one topic that seemed to register with all the kids was when they learned about the Brown Act. And I couldn't believe that. So that's when the next time I did it, I solicited Nolan Sullivan. I says, Nolan, you have to come up with an exciting, interesting way to teach the sunshine laws. And he came up with a really fun way, and it's a video that we use now in all of our sections. But the most important part about this is the civility training that they get, but even more important than that is the interaction with the elected officials. And with that, I just have to thank the elected officials who have worked with me throughout this whole thing. Jeanette Wiley, Sarah Chapman, Jason Roberts, Nolan Sullivan, Mike Silva, Laura Wilson. She was the very first, she set up the first mock. She set the precedent on how we would present these mock city council meetings in Sassoon City. Alma Hernandez has not wavered from that. I can't, every time I call, she shows up. Princess Washington, the students I work with at Golden Hills, she's a favorite. And she's a favorite because of her ability to communicate with them on their terms, and they get to understand. Wanda Williams with the Board of Supervisors. There's a big event coming up in April where Wanda will be working with SYC students to have a mock Board of Supervisors meeting. Anna Patero, she's a student favorite. She showed up every time I asked her to come. And the students, especially those students who've never even heard the word civics before, which is most of them, by the way, even the AP students, begin to recognize what these jobs are and what they mean to them and how they work for them. Michael Kitt says all of this all of these people showed up for me with Democracy Matters, and this is integral to the success of this program. In April, Democracy Matters held its first 5-hour youth empowerment summit in Ukiah with rural students. And this is in partnership with the collaboration with the Mendocino League. I call it my very first franchise. And a group of students from what they call the Northern California Youth Policy Coalition. It's a group of kids in that whole area, from schools all over that area, who came in to have these trainings. And the event was held in Ukiah, in Ukiah High School. And the students went through in half a day, in 5 hours, they went through all of the trainings and did all of the hands-on activities, including participating in a mock Board of Supervisors meeting. Very interesting time. So, and it's my hope now to replicate that experience here in Solano County in partnership with the Fairfield Youth Coalition. City Council members already on board for that are Doris Panduro and Kay Patrice Williams. So you see how I can't thank all of these people enough for answering my call and showing up, because you just have no idea how many of the students we reached remember these people, remember these elected officials and what they said about their work and how their work actually impacts them. And that's what we do with the Observer Corps training. And the hands-on activity for that is the mock city council or board meeting. The second training is the how to attend, participate, and organize in a forum. Now, what happens here is nobody does forums better, candidate forums or information forums about anything better than the league. And it's because of the way we do it. Everybody gets the same amount of time to speak to answer the same question. There's a timekeeper. Nobody goes overboard. The candidates can't instruct each other. So you can't talk to each other and back and forth, to put you into that argumentative frame of mind. So what was important to me about this was that if you get students to understand what a forum does, this is just one more way for them to learn how to make a good choice, to make the right choice, an informed choice. One more way for them to get information that they need. It was important for them to learn what happens at a forum so that they can learn. So the student-led forums that we produce, where the students determine the topic, they determine the format, how are they going to do it. They selected a question committee so that we can make sure that the questions are formulated and the questions that the public asks are screened so that we don't have redundancies and no gotcha questions out there. They selected the panelists and they created the invitation letter to send to them, and they maintained communication throughout the organizing process with the candidates who agreed to participate. They selected volunteers, the moderator, the timekeeper, the tech support, the host. They did all of this, and they performed every logistical aspect of producing a league-inspired forum, including set up the venue and supplies and everything. This is important, not just for kids who are going to go out and be leaders, but also for kids who are going to be citizens, so they know exactly what to do at a forum. They know exactly how to prepare to attend a forum. And it's super important for those students who want to be leaders and actually run a forum. And we've had two very successful forums here. SYC did a State of Education forum where they invited leaders from the school boards all throughout Solano County. They had 5 panelists, which is a good number to get for a forum of different jobs in the schools. And then by the time that forum was over, and I just sat in the office, in the audience, and cried because the students were just they were magnificent. The timekeeper, everything was just wonderful. The moderator, I just cried because I was so proud of everything that they were doing. But by the time that forum was over, it was the panelists who said it was supposed to be a learning experience for the students when it was actually a learning experience for them. The students at the Mary Allen Technical School did an in-house sort of forum where they had parents and teachers and principals and students working on a topic about what was happening in their school. But the point is that they understood that this is how you get answers, this is how you get solutions, and this is how you get heard. This is how you make sure the people you select hear you. This is what makes democracy work. And so that was important about that. So once the students have this frame of reference that I keep talking about, because it's very important. Now, let's face it, you're not likely to participate. You're going to poo-poo everything you don't understand and you don't like. That's what you're going to do. You're going to be cynical about it. You're going to, this doesn't work, and yada, yada, yada. But so that's why it's important for us to have civics, this kind of programs. And, we train young people and students in these kinds of programs. And once the students have this frame of reference on the why and how democracy works, I found them to be not only inspired, but they've actually learned the hows and the whys. They've learned and experienced ways to participate, how to go to a city council meeting, how to attend, or even to organize a forum. This is what they do. And once they've done that, then they get to do the real deal here. They get to exert the power of having such knowledge. They get to vote. And the voter training service that we put on, the voter training, is not just how to register, but it is how to vote. And it's hands-on. It's actually hands-on. Now, for this training, I'm in partnership with 2 groups. First is John Gardner from the Voter Registrar's Office. Not only does he and his team demonstrate everything about voting, how, where, when to register, they also do how, where, and when to cast a ballot. They do this using their equipment and technology. Now, we all know nothing sticks with you like the sense of sound, smell, and touch. And this is what this session does. And nothing gets young people excited like sound, like hearing and touching and playing with computers and technology. So this is a real popular session with the students who participate in this. And as a result of all of this training, I collaborate with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, with the Adopt a Poll program, so that the students actually have a place to go to. Once they learn how to do all of this, they can actually work a poll and earn some money for themselves or for their schools or whatever. So this is a very, very engaging process, and it's lasting because we're not just standing up here and telling you need to vote. Voting is important, and it's not just about the history of voting and all of the people that lost. This is how you do it. This is why we do it, and this is how we do it. And that hands-on approach is totally what the kids really get out of this. We just had a session with the APAPA group, the Asian Pacific group. Now, the good thing about working with John Gardner and his team is that he brings all of this equipment to wherever we are. Wherever you have those students ready to learn, that he does that. And then you can go to him at the voter registrar's office. A week before we had the APAPA event, we had an event with the ARC Solano group, which works with developmentally challenged young people. And we went to the registrar's office, and John and they were very much engaged in the whole thing. There were people who wanted to they actually got to experience how to use the equipment to vote if you're sight impaired, how to vote if you're not too good at reading, and how to have it read to you. It was an amazing event, and it's a really important thing. And what we've added to that, what John has added to that, and it's a real eye opener, and it's another thing that's impactful to the students, is that when you visit the registrar's office, you get to see how ballots are handled from start to the final count. And that is critical. And everybody has the right to do that. John has a little room set up where if you want to see how the votes are counted, you can do that. And the students were thrilled to know that. So when these young people get out into the world and somebody starts telling them how their votes are counted, they're going to say, well, what do you mean how my votes are not counted? My votes don't count. They're going to understand it when what I've been telling them all along, that you can't count was not what you don't cast. They're going to understand what that means, because if they have voted and they've done all of the things that they've learned, then their vote will be counted, and they can tell you how the votes are counted. Now, thanks to Superintendent Lizette Henderson, I've been able to bring some or all of the Democracy Matters programs to Solano students in several of SCO's programs. The Solano Youth Coalition, SYC, has given me access to middle, high school, and college students in Solano schools. Mare Island Technical School, MIT. This was with students enrolled in a newly implemented accredited civics class that's in Vallejo. ARC Solano residents, this is for students with developmental disabilities. Golden Hills Community School, this is from schools placed in school alternative education program. Evergreen Academy is for students that are incarcerated. Travis Education Center, TEC, students enrolled in Solano Continuing Education Program. Then there are other social organizations that we work with where it's not just a student, but older people too, like the Parent Leadership Training Institute, which is a part of the Solano County Children's Network Program. And this is for low-income parents and immigrant families who actually learn all of this process. And then there's APAPA, the Asian Pacific Public Affairs Group. And then there's also the Police Activities League here in Vacaville, the Summer at City Hall program. For the past 3 years, we've been bringing our Observer Corps training to them. So this is what we've been able to do here. Now, if you're interested, and I think it's important for us to remember that we have to keep these things going. I'm hoping that all of the elected officials that I've worked with take the call of who calls them from the league before, because this is putting these young people into society ignorant about how government works is fundamental to the mess we're in today. It's absolutely the reason why, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you're interested in viewing some of these experiences that Democracy Matters had, there's a slide that Julia can put up later. You can send out where you can look, you can see some of the videos that we've done on how to do this. I'm sure they can do that. Now, I know that our biggest challenge in this election is to get the vote, to get out the vote. But as Democrats, right now, we're the only party that represents a government of, by, and for the people. So we have to do a little bit more. We have to show people, teach people that democracy fails when they don't participate. You can't have a government of, by, for the people and people don't participate. So we have to find ways to present that frame of reference that pushes them to think as well as to act. Because remember, democracy is not something we have, it is something that we do. We have to show them that democracy matters, that the only way to get around its nuanced flaws and somehow how it works so slowly, we must keep sight on the promise of democracy, promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have to do this despite the imperfections. We have to do this despite the humanity of our candidates, of our leaders. These are people, and nobody is perfect. We aren't perfect, but we have to be as informed and as engaged as we possibly can if we're going to keep the promise alive. And that's what Democracy Matters is all about. And that's what it's been for me.
Perfect. And so we have 2 questions for you. Do teachers offer extra credit for students who participate and attend a forum?
Some teachers do, yes.
Okay. And then how many students approximately have gone through these trainings?
We average mostly, I will say, between 15 and 30 students per session. And we've had at least 2 sessions with all of the students and all of the groups that I've talked to.
And do you have a successor who's taking over for you yet?
Yes, and I'm counting on I'm counting on all of you to make sure that somehow we keep making sure that people are learning about civics. It's just so that important. And I can't thank you guys enough, because throughout this whole thing, you've given me an opportunity to do what I do: preach, teach, and whine. And for the past 7 years, I've been able to do that full scale about Democracy Matters. And as a result, I personally have grown, and in some instances, I've actually evolved as a person and as a citizen. And I won't forget that. And I'll always reference the impact the Northern Solano Democratic Club has had on local politics, because that's what's key right here. The other side has been organizing locally for years. And I mean, we sat back and let them get the Supreme Court, and we let them take the flag. But we have to speak up, and we have to teach up. So, but the Solano Northern Democratic Club, I mean, you're pretty cool. You rock, and I won't ever forget that, because you've given me a chance to do it, and you've given me all kinds of support. The elected officials in this club have actually made Democracy Matters. And I'm telling you, I can't go a day without some group, some organization calling to either say thank you or when can we use your services.
Ian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think you've done an amazing job. I think you've butted yourself up against 40 years of high school football coaches trying to teach high school civics, right?
Yeah.
And so those of us who, I mean, I've sort of tried to do what you've been successfully doing for 20 years on the union side. So I've been working with like younger union members, and they come in and they see a 60-year-old white straight guy, and the first thing I think is, oh hell no. Right. And the second thing they think is, I've been told by everybody, including my high school civics teacher, that both parties are exactly the same.
Right.
And so it's really hard to get over that hump. And so what you have been doing, if you can like rub some of that mojo on somebody else, oh my gosh, God bless you. Because I mean, I was able to convince a handful of people, but you have been doing such an exceptional job. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go on and do any of our business portion of the meeting, I would now like to ask if there are any other members who would like to take a moment to speak directly to Alice after writing about her wonderful curriculum in the newsletter. Of course, you now know that Alice is going to be leaving, and she's going to be leaving fairly shortly. And this is our opportunity to share our thoughts about her impact on our club and community. And if you'd like to speak briefly, and when I say briefly, like less than a minute, we ask that you raise your hand, and I'm going to call on you, and Julia is going to be our timekeeper. And we have a lengthy agenda, but we think this is really important that we take this opportunity right now to be able to share our thoughts and feelings with Alice. So I'm going to just start at the top. I'm going to call on Rita Deanda.
Sorry for not having the video, but my computer's acting up. Thank you, Alice, for everything you've done. Not only does she do the civics and get people involved, she's active in the community. She sets up pop-ups at our local parks. Any event I go to, there's Alice. I will miss you so much. I have really appreciated knowing you, and please, like someone else said, pass the mojo on to somebody else here in this community. And I know you're going to do fantastic things. I'm just sorry to see you leave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. I'm going to call on the Carters next.
Well, as we said, we voted and you can't go. But if you are going to go, we've been certainly just amazed at the level of energy and expertise that you've provided in putting that program together. The youth piece is so critical to the continuation of our democracy, and you've been there. And we're going to miss you, but I keep thinking, as sad as we have been upon hearing that you're leaving, I was telling George just the other day, oh, she's going to kick butt when she gets to Georgia. I can already tell. I'm going to hear about Alice when she's in Georgia, because they need help. So congratulations on I mean, it was a hard decision, but congratulations on all that you have accomplished while you've been here, because it's been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene and George. I'm going to call on Wayne Chrome.
Alice, I'm going to miss cooking with Alice. Those were so much fun, in such a unique way to get us to know in a much better and more intimate way people that serve us. And it was you that did that, and it's been a lasting mark on how I view folks doing political work here in this county. So I wish you so much the best, and we're going to miss you like crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. I'm going to call on Sarah Chapman.
Thank you very much. I can't say enough about Alice. And give me an extra minute. When I became active with the League of Women Voters and with the Democratic Club, Alice was going full blast at the time. When I decided to put my name out there to run for the city council, I had just had a fire in my home, and Alice allowed the group, the individuals that volunteered to assist me, to meet at her home. She opened her house each and every time. Alice, I've sat with her briefly and chatted with her on different areas of her wonderful, outstanding curriculum. And she's just amazing. And I'm going to be honest, she has been working so hard. And I suggested to Alice to form a nonprofit organization so that she could get assistance with everything that she was doing, which was coming out of her pocket, her time. She is worth whatever grant could come her way. What she is doing for our young people, I'm getting chills right now, just thinking about seeing her in action. And like you say, when she gets to Georgia, Alice will be taking care of family, but I'm sure Alice is going to find time to get involved with the young people. I wish you the best. And this is not this is not the end of our sisterly relationship.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Chapman.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to call on Jason Roberts.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to thank Alice for kind of volunteering me to show up to Golden West one day with I think Jeanette was there as well. Um, that site in particular is important to me for participating because those are the kids that were in the neighborhoods that I grew up in, and that was a lot of my friends and could have been myself sitting in those classes out there. And I know when I was in high school, there was nobody from my neighborhoods sitting on councils or being elected and representative for their community. So I think going back and showing them that, yeah, you can get out of that community, you can do something with yourself, is important for those kids to see, because I never saw that at all growing up. So I just want to thank Alice for getting me involved in that. And I will continue to do it with whoever's taking charge after you on it, or if you want to send me the points of contact, I'm more than happy to coordinate with Golden West and Vaca High, since it's across the street from me, and do what I can with them.
I will do that.
Thank you, Jason. I'm going to call on Don Lowry.
I'm going to echo everyone. I will miss the Cooking with Alice episodes. Those were always very fun. And you opening your home and being willing to serve as our video chef, and while grilling our candidates and elected officials, was always a treat and a delight. I appreciate your willingness to serve the club in a number of capacities, serving as our secretary, serving as our chief cheerleader and motivator. But one of the things I'll be missing on a personal level is being able to give you feedback when, you know, the next book comes out. I'm looking forward to it.
You can still do that. I'm just moving.
looking
I'm
forward
not
to it being
dying.
published. So good luck to you in Georgia. I'll just point out, you know, if the weather gets too hot there, you don't like it, you're always welcome to come back. I'm sure we'll find. Thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Marilyn Farley.
You're muted.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, Alice, I think you've been an inspiration to all of us. You're passionate, you're articulate. The first few times I saw you, I was like, who is that lady? Wow. Because it comes naturally to you to express what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and how much you care about the community and about our democracy. And when you say democracy is what we do, I think you embody that. And it's going to be really hard to replace you because you have some unique skills. And we're going to miss you, but we're going to miss what you do for all of us too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marilyn. Marion?
Oh, Alice,
Marion, oh Marion.
I don't think I can do it. Darn it all, I am beyond sad. I really am. I'm just crushed. But I understand. But you know what, my friend? It's going to be so hard not to have you there fighting the good fight, standing up for everybody else to have the same rights, waving signs, going to meetings. I can't imagine. I'm going to miss you so much. But yeah. I do understand your desire to be with your family, and I wish you joy. And I sure hope you will at least maybe participate in some Zoom meetings and keep in touch, please.
Okay. I know, Marion. We've been through a lot.
Thank you, Marion. I'm going to call on Marge Kelly.
Alice.
Yes, Marge. Hi.
Oh my goodness. It's been such a great privilege and honor to work with you on so many issues over the last few years here in Vacaville, from politics to the organizations that we worked with. You leave a legacy in our community that will be remembered for a very long time. from your creative writing projects to politics to your democracy work. The work that you have done on civic issues has been most important, especially to our youngsters who are just entering adulthood and need to know the lessons that you have been teaching so much. You will be missed. I will miss you.
I will miss you too.
Thank you, Marge. And call on Amy Russell.
Alice, I love the passion at which you tackle these very important issues, but also the humor at which you just bring to everything that you do. And you were so wonderful in my campaign. And for those of you who don't know, one day Alice says, I'm making you a song for your, as we wave signs. And she co-opted a Christmas song. So I made something for you. Not as good though. Dear Alice and Charity, we sure do think the world of both of you. We know your heart beats are true blue. You remind us the importance that democracy is what we must do. Vacaville has been so lucky to have you in our community. We will miss you both quite dearly. Wishing you the best as you move to Georgia for your family. Please know you've made a huge mark in our city.
Oh, thanks. And don't worry, I'm working on that campaign song for your next election too.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to call on Jeanette Wiley.
Well, Alice, I have so many things to say, mostly about how you've been a role model the whole time you've been here to me and many others. I mean, when you were first here, people noticed and listened and paid attention. You yourself have been very focused on things you want to get accomplished, and no one's going to step in your way. You have a plan and you want to make it happen. You're committed to making a difference, and you're not afraid to try new ideas, whatever it might be, as long as it would help further democracy in Solano County.
Right.
But then you also evaluate the impact of what you've done. Is it working? What else can I do to make it better? Who can I call on to be in collaboration with me so that it does work? And the other key is you make personal connections with the people that you're presenting to and that are also helping you. And you really let people know that you value their connections and their support. But beyond all that, we're talking about League of Women Voters and Democracy Matters. You're yourself a great published author, and you also are a campaign supporter. When I was running, you were very helpful in the campaign. And after my election, you've been a District 6 volunteer and wanting to try things to make District 6 better, supporting the Spruce Up Days and other things. And you're a great family member. So you have a personal life in addition to everything else that you do. So I just want to say that my life has been enriched by knowing you these years. And I really appreciate your support and have been honored to help you with that. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. I'm going to call on Nolan.
All right. Alice, I didn't really think what I was going to speak about tonight, but I just wanted to speak really quickly. Sorry, I'm out in the back garden watering my garden. As an elected, you oftentimes have to bluff and act like you know what you're doing and act like you're not scared and act like you feel fine. And oftentimes you don't. And you have the uncanny ability to make people feel safe and powerful and loved, and just the reinforcement that you provided behind the scenes for myself, for other candidates, for families, for students. It's just unbelievable. So you've made a huge mark on my life, my family's life. And I am just so privileged and so grateful. Like, I can't watch the screen to know you. You're a true friend and just an inspiration. And I'm just going to miss you dearly. But I just wanted to say thank you. It's been a privilege to work with you and get to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nolan. I'm going to call on County Supervisor Wanda Williams. Wanda, you are muted.
There we go. Oh my
There you
gosh,
go.
I don't know how to work it on this phone. Well, I want to start with this. I didn't know you were leaving, so my heart just fell in the pit of my stomach when I heard that. So I'm gonna miss you dearly so much. But I want you to know, I definitely come to the ATL. So when I'm out in Georgia,
stop on by. I'll let you know where I am. And I'll be back for the SYC program in April. That would be the first one, and I don't want to miss it.
All right. I was thinking, no, gonna do this by myself. Okay. Well, let me just say this. I am so thankful for Cooking with Alice because it was really my first opportunity to really spend time with Alice. And we just hit it off. I mean, instantly. And, you know, she makes me laugh. She's passionate. She's unapologetic. And I love that she challenges us to think and be bold and to really make sure that democracy does matter. And so I am forever thankful for your leadership, your friendship. And I just can't wait to see what you get to do up there in Georgia because they need help. I've made too many calls to Georgia for elections. So I know you're going to do great things there. And I'm going to miss you, but I'm glad you get to be with your family.
Thank you.
But I'll see you in April.
See you in April.
Thank you, Wanda. I'm going to call on Jim and Betty Hardwick. Jim, oh, there you go.
Yep. Took me a while to figure out where to find all these controls here, but yeah, so I just wanted to say, Betty and I are going to really miss you. I've really enjoyed dinners at your house and working with you in your garden and at campaign events. And so many times, there's when you say something, I think to myself, wow, that's what I would have wanted to say if I'd have thought of it. And it's just what I was probably thinking, but wasn't able to put into words. And so I really have appreciated you, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim and Betty.
I'm going to get you, Jeannie, for doing this.
I know. But while I have the floor, I'm going to continue calling on people so they get a chance to say something to you. So you can't get me now. I'm going to call on Tanya to speak.
Tanya.
Miss Alice, I'm going to miss you. I am glad you're going to be with your family. And I appreciate you for always showing up unapologetically and authentically as yourself. Because when I first joined this club, there weren't too many people in those meetings that looked like us.
No.
And you spoke your mind, you spoke facts, and I genuinely appreciate you. I have so much respect for you.
Thank you.
And I am going to miss you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. I'm going to call on Michael Silva.
I know everybody's expressing gratitude, but you reminded me that I'm getting older, in the sense that you know, we've met so many good people. You remind me that we meet so many good people throughout our lives, and you know, and things are always so quick and easy to change. So I know I was trying to make a joke, but that probably fell flat. but you know, I absolutely appreciate your efforts in making sure that we know and we're reminded, especially as locals, that democracy does matter, that democracy is not a spectator sport, that when we vote, it creates a whole mechanism that I underappreciated and was ignorant to, that ensures that our electeds listen to those folks, whether they agree with them or not. And again, kind of similar to what Jason was sharing, that when you grow up in areas where you're just raised to believe that you are inferior or that you are less or that you are worth less, that you have other folks that have lived a whole different life and did another part of the country or different parts of the world, and bringing in that wisdom and experience is something that it is extremely invaluable, and something that I know that many of the youth that you particularly have been dedicated towards impacting will impact them throughout their lives. It maybe doesn't happen just right now. Maybe it'll happen eventually, but I absolutely appreciate you constantly holding us accountable and telling us local kids and these are my words, but to get our stuff together and make positive things happen. And I apologize. I was actually talking to a neighbor that was just expressing a lot of gratitude and how she wants to create change in in our community. And then I hear this news that you're split into the ATL, and I'm like, what? But I'm very happy for you, very thankful for you, and and we all have the responsibility to carry on the legacy and impact that you made to all of us. So thank you, Alice. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to call on Brigitte.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, I want to say that I firmly believe that your level of personal dedication and passion for the democratic process is irreplaceable. Here in Solano County, we have a lot of other great people, but your personal level, that will never be replaced. And so we are going to miss you. But I believe that our loss is Georgia's gain, and the Democratic Party needs you in Georgia now. So thank you so much for all you've done for us and all you will do for the party in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brigitte. I'm going to call on Anna Patero.
Oh my gosh, I'm shocked. First, thank you so much for inspiring me. My students speak at city council meetings. They speak at board of supervisors meetings. They speak at school board meetings because of you. And things happen for a reason, and those kids in Georgia need you. Thank you so much for inspiring me. Thank you for your voice, and keep persisting because you're a fucking badass and they need you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I'm going to call on Carol Hendrick.
Alice, it's hard to just put it in one word, but I will miss your presence. Just your presence, your spiritual guidance that you offer to us so freely, so on target in what you say. There's no replacing you.
Thank you.
You're just gonna be missed. But Georgia's lucky to get you, and I certainly understand the Pola family.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Well, I think I am going to have the last word on this one. I want to start by just saying that, Alice, you have honored us with your presence since you arrived on the scene in 2016. And I've thought a long time about what I wanted to say to you. But I think what I would like to say is, I'm so grateful that you always said yes. That you always said yes to everything that we wanted to do. You always said yes to being there, for being present, for being the one that would speak up and help us to speak up too. We're grateful for you, and you have been an impactful presence in our lives, and you will be sorely missed. But we are really thankful that you are going to be with your family. And we know that the Pola family is strong, and your family is rejoicing because they know that you're coming. So we rejoice with you. And thank you so much for everything. And thank all of you for sharing your thoughts. I appreciate all of you being here tonight to be part of this so that we can let Alice know how we feel about her. So thanks, everyone. And now I'm going to take a big, deep breath. And we're going to start the business portion of our meeting. Thank you for hanging in there.
Have a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss one? I'm sorry. Ian, do you have your hand up now?
I do because I actually made a motion, seconded during the discussion. My motion was I'd like to move that Alice be named a lifetime member of the club and be permitted to join meetings via Zoom when she's able. It was seconded by Bob Panzer, so I'd like to see that voted on.
All in favor of making Alice a lifetime member and welcome at every meeting we hold from now on, please raise your hand.
Aye.
I would love that. I would love
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Bob Panzer, for seconding that motion. All right. So earlier last week, you should have received the minutes from the June 10th meeting. And so Julia is going to present them briefly and see if there are any questions before she puts up the poll for us to approve the minutes.
Move adoption.
Sorry, it took me a second to go read an email or text message before I could launch the poll. Okay. Couple more seconds left. And on the poll now. Mona, you have your hand up. Oh, you forgot to take it down from the vote.
You're muted, Mona.
I'm having trouble with my computer, so I'm sorry.
No worries. It was up from the vote previously. I'll lower your hand. Okay.
There you go.
Yes.
You're good.
I was trying to actually say something to Alice, but I couldn't, and yeah. Anyway, but I voted on the poll.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move on to items. It looks like we have passed the minutes approval. We're going to move on to items from the floor. Nothing has been submitted thus far. If there is anyone that wants to submit something, please do so quickly in the chat. And Julia, if you will watch for that, if there is anybody that's doing that.
Yes. Nolan has his hand up on his phone. I'm going to try and get this. The poll keeps sharing. Sorry. Nolan, do you have something to add to items from the floor?
Yeah, just a really quick one if possible.
Okay, it's item from the floor, not an announcement.
No, it's I guess, well, I don't know. What's the difference?
Announcement is just like something that's happening. Item from the floor is actual club business that you want on the agenda.
I think this is kind of sort of club business as well.
Okay.
And I'll be super brief. So I just want to remind the club that Vacaville has the first democratically led majority council in the history of Vacaville. We've had that for a term or two. The campaigns are starting to heat up. We have several competitors being run against Democratic incumbents sponsored by the mayor and a local church that shall not be named. So I'm just asking the club to really lean in this year early on the election cycle, help support our candidates. Vacaville, like I said, we turned blue for the first time ever a term and a half ago, and our candidates are really going to need our help. So I just want to remind folks that we have a razor thin majority, and the mayor, the Republican Party, and a local church are really pushing other candidates hard for a very right-wing agenda, and just wanting to put that on folks' minds in Vacaville that we need everyone's help this election cycle. So please get involved and jump in.
Thank you, Nolan. And we will be hearing from numerous candidates who are going to be trying to do just that, working toward keeping the majorities here in our little part of Northern Solano. But thank you, Nolan, for bringing that to our attention, and definitely we will be addressing that later on in the meeting.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything else, Jeannie. Nothing in the chat.
So I would like to have Julia display the agenda for tonight's meeting. You should have received that also. So she's going to just display it quickly. And then Julia will put up the poll to vote to approve the agenda as well.
Okay. Couple more seconds and then we will end the poll. And letting the last stragglers go and ending poll now. Okay, it has been approved.
Thank you so much, everyone, for voting so quickly. We're going to move on to officers' reports. And as president, I do not have anything to report. I will be speaking later on in the meeting about some club business, but I have no official report to make. I'll turn it over to the vice president if she has a report to make.
I will be speaking plenty. I am good. Let's keep moving.
Thank you. I'm going to turn this over to our secretary, Nancy Federley.
Hi, everybody. I just have a brief report, and this has to do with our postcards. And back in 2022, the election cycle, NSDC created and sent out over 27,000 postcards in support of our endorsed candidates that year. We sent postcards to targeted Democratic voters in 4 cities in Solano County: Fairfield, Dixon, Vacaville, and Suisun City. The NSDC is once again making plans to create and send out postcards for this 2024 election. We're currently pricing union printers and gathering other information prior to our September candidate endorsement process. We've heard from the candidates that these cards were very effective with the voters and are definitely worth the expense. And they, it is expensive to send out mailers. We thank you to all our members who support fundraisers and contribute to the DEM effort and pay yearly dues that makes this effort possible. So stand by for more information as we gather information for this effort. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Nancy. And of course, again, thanks go out to Nancy for once again putting out an absolutely stellar newsletter this past week. I hope you all got a chance to enjoy it. She did a great job, as always. I'm going to turn this over to our outreach chair, Jacob Francisco.
Good evening, everyone. No formal report, but just ask that, if there's anything that you want to see on our social media, let me know. We'll be able to get that up on our social media.
Thank you, Jacob. Now I'm going to turn this over to our club treasurer, Don Lowry. And there you go.
All right. Thank you. In the month of June, we brought in $390 in dues and contributions. We had total expenses of $77.46, which included booth rental and supplies for the Pride in the Park in Vacaville, as well as our Act Blue expenses for an ending balance of $28,417.27. For the eagle-eyed among you, you'll note that there's a $20 change in the beginning balance because last report I had included a check that was in the mail but not yet received in my tallies, and when it was received, it was for more than I had been informed, so had to adjust by $20. We currently have 104 paid members, and actually, as of tonight, 105 paid members for the club for 2024. So thanks to all of you who have joined and paid your dues for this year. And we are currently receiving $230 in recurring monthly donations, which, as Nancy said, will be helping toward our campaign events this fall. And that's it for the treasurer's report, but I do want to just comment briefly, putting on my hat as a national delegate regarding the recent kerfluffle. I just point out I am a pledged Biden delegate. As long as he is an active candidate, that's where my vote is pledged. The second most likely option is that if he withdraws, he will designate another candidate that he'll ask us to vote for, in which case we'll have a nice pro forma convention. And of course, the third option would be an open convention, in which case I would gladly welcome anybody's feedback. I don't promise to follow it, but certainly will take anybody's thoughts into consideration. If that particular circumstance comes to mind. But fingers crossed that something is resolved before then, because we don't really need a repeat of 1968. And that's all I have for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. And we'll be hearing from Dawn again later on during one of the presentations during club business. We're now going to start by having Vice President Routson Thomas talk about the formation of an election operations subcommittee.
Hey, everybody. So elections are coming up. We will have endorsed candidates for NSDC. We will have candidates all around. But the biggest thing is going to be getting us out and mobilized. And quite frankly, Northern Solano Democratic Club is operations in the north of the county. So we want to be as organized as we can be this year. So Jeannie and I would like to form an elections operations committee so that we can determine strategy and how we're going to get out there. Also, I personally will be planning on doing coordination with other groups so that we can actually get on the same page as the unions, as some of the other groups around here who are also politically minded, and we can coordinate efforts where we agree and disagree where we disagree. But the biggest thing is going to be getting us out on the ground and really being as effective and coordinated as possible. So if anybody would like to join us, we did set a date for our first meeting. It should be loads of fun. You guys know how much you love doing this kind of stuff. So on July 22nd at 7 p.m., we are going to do an election operations subcommittee. Please feel free, we'll send the invite out to the club as a whole, but please feel free to join us. This is, quite frankly, one of the most important elections of our lifetime, and we might be saying that every 2 years to 6 months for a while now, but it is. And especially in this county, you see so much transition and so much of the ability to see things progress and be more inclusive and representative of what our county wants, rather than just a couple people who got into power because nobody said no. So I really want to see this year is the year that we are out there and and we're going for it. So join us if you can.
Thank you so much. And you will be getting your Zoom invitation to the meeting. We hope a lot of you will come. It's going to be a really, really important effort that the club is making in connection with coordination with our postcard writing endorsements that Nancy talked about already. We have lots of moving parts, and we need to make sure that we are organized so that we can pull all those parts together. So thank you, Julia, for volunteering to work on that really important aspect of campaigning. Well, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Solano County Democratic Central Committee's upcoming fundraiser that's going to be held on the 27th of this month. And it's going to be called a summer soiree. And there will be light bites and libations served. The tickets are $45. It's going to be held at 219 Essex Way in Benicia. The speakers will be announced soon. There are sponsorships that are available to support the Central Committee. The sponsorship levels are $500, $250, or $100. And the money that the Central Committee raises is going to be going to, again, support elections that are coming up, and they need money to be able to do their own kinds of support. So I'm hoping that we get some representation from the club. I don't have an ActBlue link to share with you as of yet, but that will be shared with you as soon as possible. And I am hoping that we can be a sponsor for this event, and would like to propose that we give up to $500 for a sponsorship for this event. But would like to see if anybody would make a motion to support the Central Committee And then that supports all of us too.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Jeannie. I would move to, for the club to have a sponsorship, however you say that. For the
That was
central.
fine. That was fine. Thank you, Marion. Can I have a second for that?
I second it.
We'll call a second.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this, this motion that's on the floor right now?
So what does the $500 get us? Do we get a table? Do we, what?
Kathy, right now, we are actually waiting for more specific information about what those, what the sponsorship levels will give us. And I'm apologizing to you because I never like to come to a meeting without the information, but I don't have it. But I am waiting for the group, the fundraising committee, to meet, and I'm sure that those details will be given to us and they will be given to the club as soon as possible. And I'm apologizing to you, Kathy, for the fact that I can't give you a specific answer.
Well, that's fine. I was just, is there going to be a, you said it's the 27th?
Yes, it's going to be in the backyard of one of the members of, I think it's the Progressive Dems of Benicia. I believe it's one of their club members that has generously offered their backyard. So it's going to be lovely. I think it's in a house that's down near the water. So I think it's going to be really a beautiful event. And as I said, it's a fundraiser that's helping to raise money. I think that they're using the funds, if I'm not mistaken, and other central committee members that are here can correct me if I'm wrong, but they will be using the funds that they raise for their door hangers. And that's a big push that they're going to be making as we get closer to the election.
So there'll be a flyer out soon?
I'm sorry?
There'll be a flyer out soon if we want to get tickets.
Yes, yes.
All right,
I
thank you.
I see Jeanette has her hand raised.
But when you find out the details, we'll probably do it like we've done in the past. So the club pays 500, but then if a member says they want to go, then they would pay what they would have paid, and then the club just pays the extra. Is that correct? I mean, that's how we've done in the past, if there's a thing.
Yeah, I think that we did that for all the other fundraisers that we've had sponsorships. We are have been just waiting for the information to come to us as to what those sponsorships actually entailed. And then if people are interested in getting tickets, we will have something in the chat that goes out to you tomorrow, and you can actually let us know if you'd like to be part of that. And then we'll make sure that we get that ActBlue link out to you ASAP once we get it. So thank you. We do have a poll that I'm going to ask Julia to launch to give approval for up to, it is on the 27th of this month, which is a Saturday, and it is at 5 p.m.
Okay, most everybody has voted. I will give you just a couple more seconds. Okay, and ending poll now. And so we will be sponsoring a table.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. You'll get the information as soon as it is presented to us. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to turn this right back over to Vice President Routson Thomas, who is going to be talking about an upcoming candidates event for NSDC.
Right, my brain has fully broken. It's after 8 o'clock, guys. We're on the downhill of my brain. I am sorry. So we are not doing any more fundraisers this year, as it's just an election year. So what we are going to do, or what we'd like to do, is a meet and greet for candidates prior to our interviews, so that the candidates can have some FaceTime with our members. Our members can vet the people that they'd like the club to endorse, or they would personally like to endorse. It's going to be a free event. We'd like to host it at Arlington Park, where we did the chili cook-off. It has lots of lovely mature trees that provide some shade as well as 2 shade canopies. We are going to do it from 6 to 8 p.m. to keep us in hopefully a better place than the other possibilities. And I think it'll be a lovely thing for us to do. It will be a potluck. So bring a goodie if you'd like. We will be providing water for everybody. And it should be a wonderful time. So if somebody would like to make the motion for approvals of up to $200 for this event, I would be very grateful.
Do you have a date?
Yes, I believe we said August 11th, which is a Sunday. Yes, that is what we said.
Okay,
August-
I'll make motion for that too, up to
I'll
200.
second the motion.
Okay. And let me go ahead and, do we have any discussion? Ian?
No, I was gonna make the motion, which is why I raised my hand, so never mind.
You got beat to the punch.
Damn it.
Kathy?
So, I'm just curious, will these be only local, campaigns that were, or candidates, or are we talking, state all the way up?
We'll invite anybody and everybody. Whoever shows up is whoever shows up. So that's the best I can tell you. Likely
That's
we
fine.
will get a lot of school board and city council candidates. We probably will get a state senate candidate. As long as they are a Democrat, they will be invited. Tanya, go ahead.
You may have said the name of the park, but I totally missed it. Where will it be held?
At Arlington Park.
Arlington Park.
It's right off of Peabody.
I believe it was where we held the chili cook-off last year.
Yeah, that's where that was.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Since I have no more discussion, I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll.
Has that launched, Julia? I don't see anything.
Yeah, it launched.
Wow, I saw nothing but the little person.
Okay, well, my options are to end poll. So you can go ahead and I'm going to say your vote won't matter.
Gee, thanks.
Well, we're good. We're gonna have a meet and greet. I'm not gonna say your vote doesn't matter, but it was an overwhelming support. So thank you all so much for your support of this. I'm really excited for it. Jeannie, back to you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to be hearing from Treasurer Don Lowry, and also he's wearing his other hat too, as SCDCC Chair, Don Lowry, who's going to be leading the discussion on whether or not the NSDC should join the coalition with Solano together. After this discussion and the proposal is moved and seconded, Julia will administer the poll for the decision that we're going to make. So now I'm going to turn it over to Don Lowry.
Thank you, Jeannie. The request, and my understanding of the request went to our president a while back, inviting the club to follow up its previous vote in opposition to the East Solano Plan, California Fervor Plan, whatever they're calling it this week, to join the formal coalition in opposition to that effort. And my understanding is that participating in the coalition includes being involved potentially on their joint planning group, as well as, of course, providing volunteers when asked and engaging in other such activities. And potentially supporting them financially. I am arguing against us formally joining the coalition simply because if we're sitting in their meetings and if we're participating in their conversations about how they approach the campaign and plan the campaign against this measure, we cannot do our own independent activity in opposition. The presumption is that our activities are coordinated, not independent. For the last few cycles, we have done independent expenditures primarily and independent activity on behalf of our candidates in ballot measures where we're supporting. And I would prefer us not to have an issue with that come up. That does not mean that we cannot remain in opposition, does not mean that they cannot list us as an opponent or as an endorser of their position. Simply means that we would not be participating in their formal structure. And certainly individual members of this club or individuals that come to us want to share information about the coalition's activities and invite club members to participate, can certainly do so. It's simply our body as an organization would not be a formal part of their coalition. That's my preferred approach to this, that while we agree with their cause, we don't want to join their coalition at this point. So I urge you to oppose the request. Thank you.
So Don, that is the motion. Are you making a motion to do that, to propose that? I think I lost Don.
I thought maybe he was just making a comment and inviting further discussion, but I see Ian is making a motion.
Well, Ian, we've already made a motion. We've already adopted a position against California Forever.
Yeah, we already voted in opposition of what they were proposing. So that's done.
The issue is that campaign finance rules, basically, if we are perceived as acting in coordination with a candidate, which in this case includes the ballot measure, it makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for us to act independently. So that's the caution there. And again, this is not prescribing individual members from joining them and volunteering and donating to their campaign. It's simply us as an entity not becoming a formal part of their coalition is my proposal.
I see hands.
I do. I'm going to start with Kathy Fatinos. Kathy, you are muted.
I just always continue to have a hard time to believe that. So I guess I hear what Donna's saying and agree with it, but is there any rationale out there at all why we should agree to be part of their coalition?
Well, I think that we actually have a couple people that have their hands raised who probably would like to answer that. I'm going to ask, I see Dwayne Chrome's hand is up, and I'm going to call on him.
Thanks. Good thoughts, Don. I hadn't thought about the independent versus dependent and campaign financing. So Marilyn and I are both very active with the Solano Together Coalition, so I think almost all of you know. And the reason that we'd like to have as many people as possible as part of the coalition, because it's as many people as possible, to show widespread, very diverse support for the opposition against what Flannery is trying to do. So I mean, the Progressive Dems of Benicia have signed on, and I love saying this. It's the Solano County Republican Central Committee and the Progressive Dems of Benicia have joined together in the Solano Together Coalition. Where else has anybody ever seen this kind of coming together, along with the Farm Bureau and the Sierra Club, and just so many different groups. I mean, Flannery is obviously, as you're all very well aware, I mean, they are spending millions of dollars in pushing their message forward. And we think our strength is in the numbers of people and the numbers of local organizations in Solano County that are opposed to what Flannery is trying to do. So we would appreciate your support. It's not dead critical. If there's an issue with financing and the FPPC, I'm a little soft on that issue. But again, I think that the more voices, the more people, the more organizations, the stronger we all look fighting these billionaires. So thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Marilyn, did you want to speak to this as well?
Yes, I'd like to speak also. I'm just trying to understand what Don is suggesting. Don, I heard you say that we could be the Northern Solano Dams could be listed as an opponent, but not participate in the structure. And that could be a solution to join, but to decline to participate in the structure. And I think it's up to this group whether they make independent expenditures or not, or whether the group as a whole chooses to make a donation to the campaign. Either one of those or neither, if that's what the group's choice is fine. But if you're taking a position of opposition, the best way to help us would be to agree to have your name listed as a member of the coalition. And if you wanted to refine the motion to make it clear that you're not participating in a way that would jeopardize your independent status, I think that could make some sense too. No one else has raised this particular issue.
Can I just respond to that really quick? Because I think it would make things a little bit more clear for everybody. So basically, when Don's talking about us making an independent expenditure, it's our PAC. We're a super PAC. And so what that means is when we send out those postcards, we're not sending it out as NSDC, the club, made up of individual members. We are sending it out as the NSDC super PAC. And so with that, there are legal restrictions on how much our PAC can coordinate with any campaign. So if our club is coordinating with any campaign, and this includes candidate campaigns, initiative campaigns, anything, the coordination is what gets us into hinky territory. Then we would no longer be able to put them on the postcard because we would be illegally coordinating election efforts. And so we have to make the decision. Like the Solano Together can use our name. We can provide a statement, but what we can't do is provide coordination. We can't be on their executive board. We can't be going to the meetings as a club. Now, club members can do whatever they want, but, and this is where it also gets tricky, anybody who provides coordination level experience with any candidacy or any initiative or anything like that cannot be on the e-board when we're discussing the postcards or any of our efforts. So which is why we have all of the alternates, is because we like a bunch of us have to recuse ourselves. And so
it would be very helpful to be on your slate mailer.
Yes.
I'd be in favor of structuring it in some way that would be possible.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing that I just wanted to clarify for everybody. So there are other hands. I will let everybody else
we
talk.
have a couple more people that have their hands raised. I'd like to call on Michelle Pellegrin. Thank you for your patience.
No, that's fine. So I, at some point, need to understand more of what Julia and Dawn are talking about, because it seems Byzantine to me and completely counterproductive. I mean, the whole idea of being a club is and I thought the club and the club super PAC were separate, of being a club is to be able to be involved in things like this. So there must be some rules that are, anyway, that's for a later time. I think that the strength of joining this kind of thing is, first of all, you have strength in numbers, you're communicating, so you're all on the same page. We know what's happening. We know how to direct our energy the best way possible to defeat something like this. And it is very, very impressive in terms of presentation when you have a huge variety of clubs joined together to defeat something. It makes an impression on people.
Thank you, Michelle. I see that Ian has his hand raised. You're muted, Ian.
Okay. Yeah, I have a lot of problems with this. It's I think it's very, oh my gosh. I'm actually disgusted by the prospect. I mean, these folks have come in, they lied about who they were, they bought up all this land. They first came in as one group, and then it turned out 70% of the folks were going to vote against them. And now they're pushing themselves as a second group. And yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't even know how to go on. It's like, we need to vote no. No one just did vote. Yeah, we just need to vote no on this thing. It's like they've decided that you're too stupid to understand water rights. And so they're sending us pictures of beaches that are like 20,000 acres. It's ridiculous.
Agreed. Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. Marion, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm still confused. I need you, Julia, or somebody to spell out specifically what coordination means, and especially because I would like NSDC to be listed at least as a supporter of Solano Together. And if we can do that, it kind of sounds like you say in one sentence that we can, and then in the next sentence that we can't. And the other thing is, you just mentioned about e-board and alternates, and it's like, I've been a member of Solano Together since its inception. I am very vehemently against this, and, work with them and give money and do whatever I can. So does that mean that if you need an alternate, I can't be the alternate that I volunteered to be? Answer those, please, if you can.
Don, would you be willing to speak a little bit of what coordination entails?
Yeah, basically, again, the issue is the reality or the perception of us, our two organizations being, in this case, being our club and the Solano Together, working in concert together, coordinating our activities so that we are planning together, that we are putting our strategy, meshing our strategies together as organizations. And if we are perceived as coordinating in that activity, participating in the planning discussions, doing that sort of operation, and giving our input as an organization and vice versa, is coordination, and the presumption is then we cannot do an independent expenditure. So that's the issue right there, is that sort of joint planning effort. Our position as opponents does not affect that. What individual members do as members of the body does not affect that, except that, as we've done in the past few cycles, if and when this club is taking any action for our own planning, we will ask, Dwayne and Marilyn and anyone else who's an active member of the Solana Together Planning Group to recuse themselves to step out of the meeting, so to speak, as part of that planning. So it's that joint planning as organization that we are wanting to avoid if we wish to do independent expenditures related to our opposition to California Forever. So, you know,
Okay, so
I think listing us as a supporter on their literature is fine. It's
Okay.
just I am leery about calling ourselves a member of the coalition, because that creates a presumption that we're then having to overcome. So that's
But we can
my issue is keeping us clean on the campaign finance side of it.
Thank you, Don. That helps.
Michelle, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, so just to summarize, to clarify, the only time this really matters is if both organizations were putting out money against the Flannery, the East Bay Plan, whatever it's called. Is that right, Don? In other words, we want to spend money campaigning against it. That's when it comes up. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Is that correct?
It's the most obvious institution, but I mean, similarly, if we were actively coordinating together and jointly planning campaign activity, that's also coordinating. So that, but the spending of money is the biggest issue that does come up. That's correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions about this issue? This is murky. I see Rita's hand is raised.
Yeah, I was wondering, in terms of us being part of the coalition and just having our name there as an opposition to it, what's the difference? Where's the weight come in? And maybe Dwayne can answer this question. In terms of the Northern Solana Democratic Club actually being a coalition member of Solana Together. Does it add extra weight to do that versus us just being in opposition to the organization? And the other question I have is, are we really planning as a club to put out any kind of mailers or flyers or do any kind of campaigning against Solana Together? I don't think we have enough money to do that and then support our candidates also. So yeah, I'm like everybody else. I'm a little bit confused about all this stuff, but I trust Don's judgment on this. But again, maybe Dwayne can answer the other question about what difference does it make really in terms of people seeing that we're in opposition to it.
Don, I see your hand is raised. Did you want to answer Rita's question?
Obviously, we've not made any decisions or made any planning. I think the presumption is that our postcards or whatever other campaign activity would list all of the candidates and ballot measures that we have taken a position on. And I think that's as far as I can go without creating yet another headache.
Dwayne?
So, I mean, this is the first time the question has come up from any group, from, Sierra Club to Progressive Dems to the Republicans. So I don't know. I have not done any research on independent versus independent expenditures and the issues that Don is raising. My just general gut is that there's typically a level of involvement in terms of money. So if you are like a $20,000 donor to Solana Together, I mean, that would be big dollars relative to the club's budget. And we're not asking you for any money. And I think it typically is the independent versus dependent, again, is how much you have done as an organization funding the coalition work versus trying to fund your own independent work. So I could go research if anybody wanted to. Don, I think, may have done some of the same research. We have in the coalition, we have an election attorney we don't want to use much because it costs money. We don't want to spend money on such things. We need to focus our resources on beating the bad guys. Yeah, and the key thing is having the Northern Slaughter Dems name that we can use along with everybody else's name. And we're not asking for money. And and we're not going to ask any group for money. We're asking individuals for money. So it's the best I can do. But again, I think there's power in numbers.
Thank you, Dwayne. Marge?
My question is simply this. We have numerous politicians or holders of office from county board supervisors to city council members in this group. And I'm wondering if taking an official position compromises their
I'm missing your call, buddy.
their standing.
What are you asking?
Can we please have
'Cause I'm gonna
everybody mute
redo the magnet.
themselves? Can we please have everyone mute themselves while we're having this conversation?
Marge, I accidentally muted you, so go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that because we have county board supervisors and city council members who in their political positions must take positions perhaps at some point in the future, if this club taking an official position with them as members of this club compromises them in some form, I would be concerned about that. And I expect they would be concerned as well.
Dwayne, do you have your hand up again to respond to that or no?
Oh, it did not come down.
Okay. I see that the Carters have their hands raised.
As Dawn was explaining it, and our club has gone on record as opposing that plan, but we can still have our name on a flyer. We could give a statement supporting this, opposing it. We can, as individuals, volunteer, donate. I think Dawn's concerns are very real, and I think we need to be cautious. So I would like to err on the side of caution and maybe just continue with the support we have given as opposed to actually joining that coalition. So that's my 2 cents.
Would that be, could we have that construed as a motion?
Oh,
Marlene, a proposal, yes?
All right, then yes, that we continue. We have gone on record. We will continue to support. They can use our name on their flyers as supporters, but that we refrain from joining the coalition at this point.
Okay. Do we have a second to that motion? I see Marge's hand is raised.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a poll that we actually have constructed that we would like to ask people to. I see hands raised. Are we needing to have a discussion before we launch the poll? Michelle?
Yeah, I have a counter proposal, which is that we do research on the financial aspect and then come back, and then when we have more information, vote then. I don't think we have enough information now. I don't feel that way.
Okay. Discussion on what Michelle said. Do we have is that a motion? Are you making an alternate motion?
Sure, yes.
Okay. Do we have a second to that?
Don't we have to vote on the original motion?
Would that be part of the Zoom poll, actually? She's asking us to defer to get more information.
I know, but we have an open motion in a second, so unless the person who did
No,
the
but
motion.
point of order, but it's a counter motion or substitute motion. That the substitute motion gets voted on first.
Okay, well, Jeannie, you're gonna have to add that poll.
That will be the alternative motion is to defer. And that would be for us to go back, find out more information, and then bring it back to the club in order to move forward to either approve joining the coalition or staying as an independent voice. And I do not have a poll written for that. So what we would end up having to do would be to have you vote by either raising your hand using tool at the bottom, and I know that everybody knows how to do that because I've seen you do it earlier tonight, or you can raise your hand. Dwayne, do you have your hand raised?
I do. I think we're making this way more complicated. So what I'm hearing consistently from everybody is that the club should be listed as an endorser of the Solano Together Coalition efforts to defeat the initiative. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if the motion were simply that the club wants its name to be used as an endorser of opposing the initiative rather than being a member of the coalition, I think we're playing with semantics here to some extent.
I think that would be fine. That avoids the perception, and perhaps I'm being overly cautious, but I would rather not have to be paying for our attorneys somewhere down the line because someone decided that we were a coalition.
Yeah, because I mean, I think from our standpoint at the coalition, if the Northern Solano Dem said we endorse the coalition's effort to oppose the Flannery Initiative, I think that's all we need. Frankly, it's you're part of the effort to beat the bad guys. Keeping it simple.
Okay,
if that's a motion, I will second that.
Well, now we have 14 motions on the floor.
I know.
Okay, all right. And I am actually going to throw myself on the mercy of Dawn to help me because I think there are 3 different things that we actually have put forward and proposed, but I would like to actually maybe react to what Dwayne just said.
Dwayne's motion would be ideal.
Yes.
In my opinion. I don't know if Michelle's motion was seconded. If Michelle's motion was seconded, then we need to ask whether she wishes to keep it or not. If it hasn't, it died for lack of second, we can go to the original motion and then ask them whether they wish to withdraw it in favor of Dwayne's substitute motion.
Nancy, I don't know if you are keeping track. No. Michelle, I don't
I'll just
actually
withdraw it. I'll just withdraw it. I think that I agree with what Dwayne said and Dawn.
Okay, so let's get the wording correct, or we have to go back to the original one, which was to become an independent.
I'll withdraw that.
Thank you. Okay, we have now withdrawn twice. Thank you, everybody. So let's move forward and actually have a motion. And Dawn, would you please put forward the motion?
Yeah, I was going to say I think it would be Dwayne's motion properly, but my
Okay.
understanding was that we would be listed as a supporter or endorser of the Solano Together Coalition and not a member of the coalition itself.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a second?
Yes.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor of being an endorser of the coalition, but not a member of the coalition? I will ask you to either put your hand up physically or to use the raise your hand at the bottom of the screen.
Please keep it there for a little bit so that we can actually count. 6. Shoot, lost you. 27, 20, 29, 30, 31, 32. Amber, I did get you. Okay. So Nancy, if you can go ahead and put that it's 32 in favor. And then everybody put your hands down. I'm gonna help you out. And then after this is all cleared out, we are going to allow people to raise their hands in opposition.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay, I am seeing no hands. So anybody that would like to oppose this motion, please raise your hand either physically or via the raise hand. Okay, I am not. So
I don't see any.
I
Any?
don't see any. So Nancy, go ahead and put 0 opposed, and then those who abstain. I know we have at least 1, 2.
I see Jeanette's hand up.
Yep, and Sarah's.
And Sarah.
Probably all electeds, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So okay, so 2 abstentions. So Nancy, that is your vote count.
Wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
want to say thank you to every person that contributed to this conversation. All of the discussion was civil, and it brought up some really interesting and important points. And I appreciate everybody's attention to the detail. And thankfully, we have been able to come to an agreement. So thank you very much. Now, what I would like to do is to move into the very last part of our meeting, and we have a lot of announcements, and we're going to ask people to move very, very quickly through the announcements. I'm going to first call on Amy Russell.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you. We started out by talking about Alice and sharing in our community, and I have really appreciated the opportunity to serve this amazing community that we have beyond just NSDC, but the larger Vacaville community. Just wanted to share that I will be running for re-election, so I will be filing next week. And just wanted to put that out there. I am hoping you guys did such a great job supporting me that no one runs against me. So I'm going to hold off on asking for any kind of donations or support, but I will say if you are interested is to go to my Facebook page and to like that, as I'll be sharing updates through there, and I'll put that in the chat shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for going quickly. I do want to veer off just briefly because I want to honor someone that I did not see who had their hand raised earlier who wanted to speak to Alice, and I'm going to ask for your patience and allow Frances McCullough to speak briefly, very briefly.
Thank you, Madam President. I've been having a little computer issues tonight. Am I heard?
Yes.
I'll be very quick. When I learned of Alice leaving, I was very saddened because she is my League of Women Voters member sister for many, many years. She is from Louisiana, as I am. And I focused on some summer sadness, and I'll just share that really quick. I thought of 3 sadness. The president didn't pass the debate test. The Supreme Court actually issued an immunity decision for number 45. And then I learned that Alice Freed was going to leave Solano County. Very saddened. I have seen Alice as a truth teller. She comes to our meetings and she tells us the truth, whether we want to hear it or not. I also see Alice as Miss Democracy because she believes in it so strongly and she fights for it. When Alice's book, One Drop, came out, it was released in August of 2020. She was invited to be an author for Solano County Library Foundation Authors Luncheon. Alice was the favorite author, whereby 8 authors attended. She donated and she prepared and she hosted a New Orleans dinner in her home. And at that dinner, offering that dinner, Alice actually raised $2,900 for the Solano County Library Foundation. And I just want to thank her for all the things that she has done in Solano County. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances. Thank you for your patience and waiting for me. Thank you. I'm now going to call quickly on Mike Silva.
Hey everyone, 6 years ago, you took a chance on me and endorsed this new kid that came onto the scene to run for school board. 2 years later, when City of Vacaville went to districts, you all supported me to run for city council. 4 years into it, hope I've done many of you proud and honoring the belief in me and being able not just to represent the district that I represent, but really represent people throughout the city of Vacaville and Solano County for that matter. It hasn't been easy. It takes a lot of time away from family. It takes time away from, in many cases, my own professional development, but I'm still pretty hard-headed. These past couple years, one of the hardest things I had to do was to say bye to my mom. She died from Alzheimer's last year, but when she before she passed away, I was sitting there arguing with her healthcare providers once again, and they say that you have this moment of clarity, and during that moment of clarity, I was advocating, for what she invested in her entire life through health insurance, and during that moment, I heard her very clearly say, "Yep, right, Mike, you're right. You're absolutely right." I'm like, "Oh, you like that, Mom?" And she's like, "Yep, you're right. Just keep fighting, keep fighting." Each of us has our own fight. We all have come from different walks of life, but the one thing that unites us all is that we love and really do want a community that's welcome to all. And again, a kid growing up from different challenges, other people had it far worse than I ever did. But being in a position to help shape policy, to help ensure that we reinvest back into our communities, with the focus on creating a better future for all folks of all ages, is something that I'm very humbled to be entrusted to do, and I still have my family support to continue it. So July 15th, my mother's birthday, I will be down at City Hall pulling papers, and I'm gonna try to put together an effort at my house I'm calling it "Hurry Up Before My Wife Comes Home" to sign the petition. If y'all want to donate some money to help me fight off somebody who does want to unseat me, and the work that we've all on council have been working towards, I'd appreciate it. So thank you. My name is Michael Silva. Reach out if you need.
Thank you, Mike. Now we're going to hear from Jason Roberts.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Jason Roberts, and yeah, like Mike, I have a lot of similar things. 4 years ago, you guys took a chance on just somebody that popped up out of nowhere, just happened to have a random conversation with Nolan Sullivan, who's like, "Yes, you definitely need to run," and that's how I got introduced to this group. Like Mike, somebody has announced to run against me, and with this, yeah, I am planning on running again for this current seat, drawing papers next week. This last couple of months have been very busy, and I know my opponent is going to have quite a bit of support. He has support from old Vacaville, old government, including the mayor. And we've done a lot of good stuff. This is the most diverse council that Vacaville's ever seen. Yeah, it looked very, pretty much the same across the board over the last few decades. And yeah, you have African Americans. I'm the first Asian American to sit on Vacaville City Council. We have broad, diverse collection of backgrounds. You have teachers, professors, public safety, emergency managers. And so it's going to be a tough race this year, especially if the heat keeps up the way it is. It's going to limit a lot of walking for a lot of people, including myself. So I had heat stroke a few years ago. So walking in 100+ degree temperature is not the funnest thing in the world for me anymore. But yeah, I really appreciate everything that this club has done to help support my campaigns, both city council and the mayoral one that I ran 2 years ago. And yeah, we finally have a good council, seeing how it's going. I'd like to keep it that way and keep making progress in the city, because it seems like some people want to take it a step backwards from where we currently are. Yeah, I just want to say thank you, and I'll let you guys know when I finally file my paperwork so we can start working and planning and coordinating with each other.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Now going to call on Audra Orr.
Hi, everyone. Like Jeannie said, I'm Audra Orr. I'm kind of new on the scene here. I was, to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm officially running for Vacaville Unified School District Trustee, Area 4. I was born and raised in small town Kentucky in a blue collar family, and I really am a coal miner's daughter. I made Vacaville my home 30 years ago. I went to public school all 12 years and then to State University where I got my bachelor's degree because I knew education was my path to a successful future. I got my master's degree from Air University thanks to the Air Force. I've always been drawn to careers in public service. I retired from the Air Force Reserves as a lieutenant colonel, and I also retired with over 20 years of law enforcement between Vacaville PD and California Department of Justice. In between active duty Air Force and California Department and Vacaville PD, I was a paraprofessional in Kentucky for a year. Now, my wife makes me say when I'm elected, not if I'm elected, but my 3 priorities are going to be to work to increase community and parent involvement in our schools, and to work to better prepare our high school students for life after graduation, and to work to improve the safety and mental health environment of our classrooms. You may ask yourself, what do I bring to the table? The diversity of my experience through the various jobs and positions that I've held. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback and support for my campaign, and I hope I'm going to have yours. My website is up, although it's under construction right now, but it will have the donation link in the next couple of days. It's up, it's just not active right now. Please feel free to share that. I'll put it in the chat, and we'll have more information on it soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Audra. Now going to hear from Carol Hendrick. Carol, you are muted.
There we go.
There you go.
All right, so it's after 8 o'clock. I don't work too well after 8 like some other people don't. And so I'm going to read some of this. But given the concern caused by the debate and the Supreme Court's recent immunity decision, I think it is not an exaggeration to say that we are in a get out the vote emergency. It's an all hands moment. We only have about 90 days left to write. So I've looked for a way to accelerate our writing so that we can write for more candidates more frequently. And the best solution appears to be to get addresses for both a U.S. House candidate and a U.S. candidate at the same time, but to focus on writing for one of them at a time. Here's how this is working right now. On July 1st, I asked our members to sign up to write for 2 candidates in the first 3 weeks or so of July. To date, about 18 writers have requested a total of 270 addresses for incumbent Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown and 215 addresses, with more to come, for U.S. House candidate Dave Min in Southern California, who has a good chance of winning this no incumbent seat. So we've implemented that, and when we finished getting started on Dave Min, I'll be looking for another 2 candidates. And by focusing on one at a time, nobody's getting overwhelmed. There's a brief break between writings, and the enthusiasm appears to be very high. We haven't come up with numbers like that for a while. So it's important to remember as we do this that we're part of a large community of people around the entire country. We're working for them and they're working for us. This is not just an insulated situation that we're in. It's never been clearer that we're in this together. So please join us if you can. I know we have other postcards we're writing to, and I appreciate the value of that. You have to make your calls on that. If my email is on the club roster, if you have a copy of that, you can email me and I can then give you my phone number if you want to chat about this, if this is new to you. But the more people we have, the better we can do this. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Carol, would you mind putting your email address in the chat, and then I can send that out to the membership tomorrow?
Okay, this is a new activity. I will try to do that. Yes.
Okay. If you can't do it, let me know and I'll put it in there for you tomorrow, okay?
Find chat first. Okay, there we go.
Okay. I'm going to ask Marge Kelly to speak briefly.
Hi, very quickly, I recognize many of the candidates and council members and school board members because we've done work together as with me serving as treasurer. One of the contributions I want to make to this club this year is to help other people become treasurers for candidates. Local candidates need campaign finance assistance. It's expensive if you have to purchase it. It's much better if you have volunteers. Those volunteers are going to be much better if they are trained and supported by other local persons like myself and hopefully each other. So we have now a collaborative that meets a couple times a month on Zoom with the treasurers and any candidates who want to join, and frankly, anybody else who wants to join us and learn about campaign finance or what it would take to learn to be a treasurer. So I put my name and my number and email address up on chat. If anybody's interested, you can get a hold of me and move on from there. Thanks.
Thanks, Marge. Thanks for doing this for the candidates here in Northern Solano for doing the training. It's a big help to all these candidates. I am now looking for Timothy Knox, who is going to be making an announcement.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jeannie, for introducing me. My name is Timothy Knox. I'm here on behalf of State Senate candidate Christopher Cabaldon. So this upcoming August, he's going to be hosting a fundraiser in celebration of electing the first Filipino American to the California State Senate. This is going to be hosted at the Filipino American Community Center in Vallejo on Thursday, August 22nd from 6 to 9 p.m. We would love it if the Northern Solano Democratic Club would consider sponsoring the event at the $1,000 level. Additionally, individual tickets are $40. I'll put the Act Blue link in the chat. You can also RSVP with Elijah from Christopher Cabaldon's team, and I'll provide his email in the chat as well. Funds raised are used for signs, mailers, and other campaign materials. And why should you all contribute? It's because Christopher Cabaldon and us were up against a MAGA anti-abortion Republican endorsed by the Pro-Life Council. And we can't be complacent, and we want to ensure that we have all the resources needed to have an active GOTV effort come November. If you all have any questions, feel free to message me. I'll put my number in the chat as well.
Thank you, Timothy. Appreciate you being here tonight. Now going to call on Manveer Sandhu.
Hey, Janine, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. Wow, this is quite a late meeting today.
Yes,
Nice
it
to see all
is.
of you again. Just wanted to announce to you all, some of you may have already read it in the paper. I have announced my candidacy for Fairfield City Council. I came before you, all of you, for support back when I ran for school board. And one of the reasons I'm running for city council now is because some of the issues that we're facing at the school district are in part impacted at the city level. They're outside of the control of the school board. One of them being, for example, the completion of Markley Lane. There's some infrastructure projects that need to be done that haven't been done for many, many years now, which are really at the forefront right now. So I just wanted to take a few minutes right now to tell you all that, and looking forward to talking to you more, both at the candidate meet and greet and at the candidate forums in the near future, hosted by you and some of the other community organizations. And yeah, that's about it for now. Thanks, Janine, and thank you everybody for your time tonight.
Thank you, Manveer. I appreciate your being here. I'm going to turn this over quickly to Daniel Garcia.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we can. Okay, so today I am announcing that I will be running for school board for the Vacaville Unified School District Trustee Area 2. A little brief information about me. I've been an educator for the past 8 years, currently working for the Fairfield Unified School District, and have lived in Vacaville for 8 years. I'm a strong advocate for students and student inclusion within schools. So I'm running for this November for Area 2.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here tonight. Now going to turn this over to Nicola Parr, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. My husband Terrell and I just joined as members of this club. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and getting to know everyone. I see some familiar faces this evening, which is awesome. And my husband is now taking care of our 3 sons, making sure they're fed. So otherwise he would be on the Zoom as well. I wanted to announce that I am running for the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District, Trustee Area 7, and excited to make that announcement this evening. I do look forward to getting to know you better at the candidate meet and greet. So I have that on my calendar, and I will definitely be joining you for that event. Just a brief overview about myself. I am from Fairfield, grew up here, went to schools, H. Glenn, Grange, and graduated from Fairfield High School. My mom is a long-term teacher. She taught in the Fairfield School District at Grange. And my dad is a retired Chief Master Sergeant from the Air Force, and he was stationed for the majority of his career, all of my youth, at Travis Air Force Base. So I love this community. I have worked for the last 10 years for the Solano County Office of Education, bringing school-based mental health services to all of the different districts within Solano County. And I'm happy to talk with anyone about that. But I'm running because of my passion for education, my passion for this community. I grew up initially around the H. Glenn area, and I now live at the other end of the trustee area. I have a lot of experience, over 25 years in education, and I want to be able to share that knowledge and skill that I've learned over the years to help support increasing student engagement, making sure that we are supporting our educators and the educational staff that we entrust with educating our youth, and improving the outcomes for all community members. So I look forward once again to meeting you all at the meet and greet. And my ActBlue account is up. My website will be finalized tomorrow, and I'm excited for this journey. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to the NSDC. That's wonderful. Thank you for joining. Please put any information that you have in the chat, and we will be happy to send that out to the rest of the membership tomorrow. Now I'd like to call on Michelle Pellegrin.
Hi, Jeannie. So I must be the last one. So let's just look at this as a bedtime story since we're up so late. A friend of mine went to a barbecue the other day. This was after the debate. And he said he'd never seen his neighbors so riled up. And they were extraordinarily upset. And mild-mannered ladies were cussing in ways he'd never heard them. And the problem was, of course, is they had no idea what to do. They really want to do something, but they don't know what to do. And it became really apparent, some of us were talking, that those of us in Democratic clubs are in a unique position to help these people get connected, because we have relationships with elected officials, we interact with them. These people don't, so they're just out there and they don't understand the value of talking to elected officials. And so the idea is to give everyone, start to spread it out amongst the clubs, the different clubs. I'm going to be talking to all the clubs about this in Solano, many of them in Solano County. And we're going to put out the link to find your representative to all of our members. We're going to ask them to explain to people why it's important, because sometimes people think, oh, it doesn't matter if I send an email because it's not going to change anything. Well, that's a ridiculous way to think, right? Because who thinks one email is going to change the world? That's not the point. The point is it's a representative democracy. And if you don't use your voice, they're not going to know what you think. And so they're not going to take what you think into account when they vote. And we know it's very powerful to communicate with elected representatives, and we need to pass that along to people. We need to bring more people in and teach them. And so that's why we're the bridge, because we know it can be effective. We need to communicate this to people. And so that's how this whole thing started. The whole thing is going to be basically a few people from the different clubs are going to get together and talk about ways to do outreach with people to get them to participate. And whatever that may mean, it may mean mentorships with clubs. It may mean talking to electeds about setting up programs so that it's more of a dialogue. This is a lot at the end of the night, so I'm going to stop. But what I am going to do is put the link in the chat for people to find their representatives, because that's the first step. They've got to know who their representative is. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. The current thing, of course, is about Biden for the Democrats and whether or not he will step aside. And on the Hill this week, a lot of important decisions are being made. And the most important person to contact if you want to give feedback is Hakeem Jeffries, who's the minority leader in the House. He's kind of the pivotal person right now. You can't send him an email because he only takes it from his constituents. You have to call him if you want to get in touch with him. So I'll put that in the chat as well. And if you have any questions, just for good measure, I'll throw in my email and you can always get in touch with me.
Thank you,
So,
Michelle. Thank you.
mhm.
Don, I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to, two quick points to all of our candidates, if you'll indulge me. One, putting on my other hat as Central Committee Chair. If any of the candidates wish to have a meeting with me and to discuss their campaigns, I'm more than welcome to do so. I'll drop my email in the chat to follow up because I've met with a number already. So I just want to extend that invitation to the rest of you. Secondly, I do want to state the obvious that while assuming you are endorsed the club and the Central Committee and other organizations will be more than happy to help you. At the end of the day, it is your campaign and you're responsible for getting your message out. So, just remember you've got your race to run and not rely on everyone else to do it. And I want to thank Jeannie for a great meeting on her return to us, and so glad to see you with us and taking the chair where you belong.
Thank you so much. I think, and Don, thank you. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you to everyone for being so patient. This has been a very, very long meeting and you have exhibited such good humor. And I just got a text that we have one more person that has an announcement. So I'm going to turn this over to Jacob Francisco.
Thank you, Jeannie. I'm taking off my hat as outreach chair, putting on my hat as the president of the Solano County Young Democrats. To all the candidates who announced and would like the endorsement of the Young Democrats, please contact me. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and we will provide you the information and the endorsement application for our process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. I'm looking, I am not seeing any other hands raised. Julia, you look like you are wanting to say something.
Two things. Jeannie, are you going to talk about the Walk for Alzheimer's?
I was actually going to make an executive decision and put it off till next time because I think that people have been sitting here long enough. I will do it later. Next
Okay.
time.
And I will just say that just a final thing. I mean, as much as we have a lot of decisions to make for November, the only person that can make the decision as to whether or not Joe Biden is going to run is Joe Biden. And so if he is continuing to run, he has enough actual committed delegates that are legally obligated to vote for him. So I do caution people to the extent that they are willing to write emails and make phone calls, that absolutely do it. Engagement is wonderful. We should all be engaged in the process, but please remember to play nice. At the end of the day, what we would like to see is our democracy to continue. And as I stated before, this election is so effing important, guys. And I know that means that all of us are trying to do whatever we think is best, and I want us to all stay engaged, but I would like us to play nice. So that is my only request.
I would like to concur with what Julia just said, and I think that's the beauty of the NSDC is the fact that we bring our own opinions and ideas to the table, but I think for the most part, we express them nicely. We are civil, we respect each other. And that's the beauty of the Democratic Party and of the NSDC as a whole. Okay, I think that we have actually finished all of our club business. And I would like to see if anybody would like to call for adjournment.
I do.
Adjournment.
Second.
I
Yes,
second. I
wonderful. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand quickly.
If anybody has any other things they want in that email with all of the links in the chat, throw it in before I download it.
Yep, and everything will go out tomorrow morning. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. It was lovely to see all of you. We did an awful lot tonight. Thank you for being here and for working so hard to keep Solano blue. Take care and stay cool, please.
Good
Okay.
night.
Good night, everyone. Julia, don't leave yet, Julia.
I'm not going anywhere. I gotta download the chat, but I gotta go quickly because Nikki needs to go to bed.
Okay, and I do too.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lordy.
Jeannie, I had to say, it's so good to see you.
I'm so happy to be
I
here.
stayed on to say it is wonderful. Now I'll leave. Good night.
Good night.
I'm sorry that was so long, Julia. You did an awesome job. Don, you did a great job of making that very murky subject, I think, understandable. I think people really were understanding what you were saying. So
I hope so.
you did great. You dug in and I think you explained it. And Julia, I liked your chiming in too. So, okay, so I will get that email, the chat email tomorrow, and I will send it out to everyone. Thanks so much, everybody. It was a great meeting. Go to bed, everyone.
You too. See you soon.
Okay, bye.